is Kali, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome to season 2 of my writing vlog. I think I'm using this segment as like a short welcome or welcome back because I've just finished the first season where I wrote about like 100,000 word first draft. The next project I want to embark on this season, which also probably means that it's a bit shorter, um, is more of a novella type style with sort of between 40,000 to 50,000 words. That's sort of the ballpark that I've used to determine it. It's going to be a more plot focused story, which is a bit unusual. I don't have a good working title for it yet. Like in my head, I'm calling it the Selkie story because it developed from my inspiration quest to Scotland, where I stayed with a friend of mine at on the Isle of Skye, and a um, we lived somewhere like really like right at the waterfront. And one morning, I I sat outside. I think it was the first morning, and heard a noise in the water. The water was quite high at that moment, and looked out, and there was two seals swimming past me, and one of them looked me directly in the eyes, and then I basically the next thought that I had is, oh, okay, I need to write a Selkie story. If you don't know, the Selkie myth is basically usually about women, um, like beautiful women who are usually seals, and then they, at certain times, they go on land, leave their seal skin behind, and go and live a certain amount of time as a human woman. Usually, it features people who fall in love with them and try to entrap them, um, take their skins away from them to force them to live on land. And that's sort of as I understand it, the the main focus of Seki stories. Obviously, because I'm a fantasy writer, I write everything in my own world. It's probably going to be a variation on that. It's not going to be one to one the Seki myths repurposed. So I have been thinking about doing that and how to connect it to an interesting story and yeah, just tell something short about identity and maybe going somewhere you're not supposed to go, walking in someone else's skin. That's sort of the direction my thoughts are going in. I have sort of determined a region in my fantasy world where this is going to take place. Obviously, it's very Scotland inspired, so the sort of the conditions of the landscapes need to match a bit. Also, like at the sea, where seals usually are, um, and also like the plants and the yeah, what other wildlife there is probably going to match quite closely. Um, and so I can put a map up of the sort of the lands that I mostly write in, um, and an area I haven't really explored yet is sort of the northeast of the continent. So what I'm thinking is setting the story in that area where there's like lots of little islands and sort of in the far east on that landmass, which also I think makes sense with the climate and everything. I might have to sort of really zoom into them. I mean, this is a very sort of broadish overview map, but I think I can sort of zoom in really closely. And so it's going to be something to do with very localized politics, which is always fun, and about like two two families going to war with each other. That's and about one person from one family who is then involved in so, building a bridge between them. I think that's sort of the what I want to do, to have a story that starts with a pretty horrific situation and then builds something positive out of it. Usually that is how I like my stories to go, that there, even if there's sort of a conflict with another culture, that in the end, like both cultures take something from the other and both are the better for it. Um, and I think, especially in times like these, this is a pretty good message to have. So I have started doing notes and stuff. This is my little journal that I keep with me. I usually don't write a lot in it while I'm working on a first draft, but in between first drafts, this is the place where I'm sort of jotting down ideas. Usually I don't go back to them though, so it's literally just to clear or clean my brain. And then this little bit is from Dragon Watch, the first draft that I worked on. Um, but it's like halfway filled, so I'm using it for the next project as well. And what I did, what I usually don't do before I start writing, I made like a mini outline with, okay, I'm sort of, I mean, you see there are lots and lots of gaps in between. I just sort of spaced out what I know is going to happen and put it sort of along that outline. It will change, it will move. It's literally just for me to remember um, what to do, and usually even the order is going to be mixed up. Um, I think what I'm going to do, especially as this is, I'm because it's more plot centered, it's a bit of a not novelty, but it's a different approach for me. So I didn't really want to use a really expensive notebook to start on that one, especially as I might change my mind. I might sort of write only a few chapters, then break it off, start again. So I'm using one of my own notebooks for this purpose. These have like 120 pages. So, and they're sort of paperback notebook, and I can easily just use a second one if I find that I need one. Um, and I found that these work pretty well for stuff that I'm not too sure about, especially as my very favorite notebooks and lifetime notebooks, there's sort of an A6 version of one, are extremely expensive nowadays. So if I'm a bit sort of cagey about something and it's more of an experimental approach, I tend to use a notebook that I'm not too hung up about. For example, the last novella that I worked on, like ages ago, I ordered um, just a few very cheap notebooks off Amazon just to see whether they would um, work for me. And actually, the rulers, like the space between the lines, the in the ruled notebook wasn't really to my taste. So I put them aside, say, yeah, this is what I'm using them for. But I've used all those three, and now I'm needing like new sort of notebooks that I can just discard or just put aside if I'm deciding, yeah, no, I need a different approach. I need to start from scratch. Well, this is where we are. For the purposes of this vlog, I'm calling the new project the Circuit Story, even though it might end up not having terribly much to do with the traditionally told circus stories. But yeah, I'm sort of the title is always a bit difficult for me. Sometimes I have it from the start, sometimes stuff develops out of the writing. In recent times, I usually had it from the start, and that's more often the better way to do it for me, because if I then I'll sort of flounder a bit. But I really hope that I come up with something that encompasses the whole idea. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. I might already start writing today. Yesterday, I made sort of basically had an idea for a first sentence. That's usually how it goes. And then I wrote a couple of different, of like versions of it down, so with different where the words go. And usually, if I land, so if I decide on a first sentence, it follows quite quickly from there, and then I get into the story. But yeah, that's I'm going to also have a market event on the Sunday. It's going to be my local heritage festival where I'm going to take my I have spinning wheels. I do fibercraft as well, and I recently finished a scarf that I started on the blog that I'm going to sell there. I've started on the next one. It won't be finished by end of this week. They're a bit too big for that, but I'm working on it. So I think that's the second to last fiber event this year. The last one will be sort of a gift market type thing in December. But yeah, this one is very local to me, which is great. Um, Almost everything's in the car already. I just need to put my gazebo in, so do a bit of juggling. I think I decided, like with the approach of this market season, that I just keep everything in the car, and that worked out quite well at the moment. Sort of, and then deciding on the day what I'm going to take out. But because it's going to be the last market of the year where I actually need the gazebo and I need like a certain amount of stuff. After that, I can start to migrate everything back into the house on storage. That's where we are. I'm going to take you with me to the market, of course. Um, and then, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck for this new start on a fresh project, and see you in a bit. It's actually gotten really sunny again. Um, there's no cloud in the sky. I just thought I'd do a really quick update on how it's going so far. I wrote like half a chapter today, very slowly, sort of finding my way into the story. My idea for the main character is that she is a horrible person, and she basically learns through what happens to her to be more considerate, more kind-hearted, and not as I think she will still be quite self-centered, but not as bad as she started out. So it's been fun to basically to try and portray someone who you know from the very beginning, oh, she's really bad, but I can see why, how it happened. So yeah, and then sort of how I've already changed a bit of the idea just because I noticed that sort of her family circumstances are again quite similar to a different story, and I didn't. So I yeah, sort of had to position her a bit differently. But it's fun. Uh, I'm. It's definitely an idea that I'm approaching with like a bit more cautiously, especially because the main character is not a nice person. Um, but my stories are always very character focused anyway, and that's the joy of the whole thing for me. Yeah, that's sort of where we are at the moment. It's still the very first day, so I have no idea how it's going to progress. But sort of I'm starting to um, feel my way forwards, so to speak. See you in a bit. It's Wednesday, and I've been to the market. Today, my chrysanthemums are still okay, so still no flowers. Um, and also not a very big haul today. I've bought like a variety pack of funky mushrooms, a cabbage, and because they look really good, like one of those big radishes. I think they're called, like, often called mooli. And funny enough, I remember um, when I was small, we had this a lot at home. Just we cut it into strips and put some salt on it. And I remember my parents had like a special device, almost like a, you know, those tornado potatoes? They're sort of spirally. And that was something that would cut those spirals. You would peel the top part of the baked radish, poke in the cutter, and then cut around, and it would sort of do like a swirly peel. So for some reason, because if they're a bit bendy, I don't buy them, but they looked really, really good. So I thought I'd give those a go. And you will have seen that I had a doctor's appointment, and where the surgery is, there's like a big, like, not a big, like a small sort of green space where um, once upon a time there were sweet chestnuts planted, but at the moment not many people pick them up. So when there are cars moving about and people walking, they get squished. And so I picked up a lot of chestnuts while I was there. Um, just literally walking along, and I think I must have spent at least sort of 20 minutes. You could basically just stand under a tree and listen to the nuts coming down and just pick them up as they fell. So yeah, so I will have to see what I can do with those. I will probably try and roast some in the air fryer, and then also just boil them, like peel them and boil them with salt and eat them as a side dish. And then um, we have quite a few fruit trees up where there are parking spaces behind the house. And one of them this year has become so big that it's sort of spilled over, and it's actually a green fig tree. So I've picked up a few figs. Um, the thing is, some of them, they're sort of start to get, they really don't get dark. So it's really difficult to see. But if they're too soft, they go off and go sour really quickly. So I've picked a few that are not quite there yet, and see if I can just wait a few days for them to come um, to full ripeness, if that works. And I think I have a working title for the story that I'm writing at the moment. So tentatively, I'm calling it The Sealskin Throne. And I'm in chapter two. I'm still moving really slowly because I'm still sort of getting to grips with what I want to do. And this is not a huge spoiler because I will put it in the and the blurb. Um, the sort of the point of view character dies in the first chapter, and basically it's a ghost story, like told by a ghost. And I'm having a lot of fun with this. I obviously it's sort of also tragic, but as basically the narrative device, this sort of novella is told through. And then I thought having like the connection to the Selkie legend with the sealskin in the title is probably necessary. And I had a quick look on Amazon. It doesn't seem that to be like that there's a book with the title, so yay. It's usually how I do like a bit of research if I have a title that sounds good to me, and but I might sound a bit too good, you know. I just have a look whether. So I'm basically claiming the title, the sealskin throne. Not that easy to say. Um, and yeah, so chapter two. For once, I don't think the chapters will have names. It's also unusual for me, but I think because, especially in the beginning, because it's quite sort of dark. It starts off in a dark place. I I don't really want to commit to chapter names at the moment. So yeah, that's sort of where I am and where I'll sort of continue this week. This week I'm weekend on Saturday I'm going to the lake to swim, and then on Sunday I have a market event with the spinning wheels. So that's still to come, and you'll be with me. See you in a bit. It's Friday, and I've just finished chapter three of the sealskin throne. And I think in one of those phases where I'm discovering the environment with the characters, which is really fun. Um, I've never written a story from the point of view of a ghost before, so there's something new that's happening there. Um, yeah, and also to slowly build the world around that character and sort of the family dynamics that we are getting thrown in and what happens after, like how the family behaves after she dies. Um, so I think I'm sort of I'm not quite like the joyful phase hasn't started yet. It's definitely more of the exploratory phase. Um, and I'm still writing about like half a chapter a day, so it's not that fast. Um, I think that's usually the way when I sort of start off a project, and then once I really get caught up, I will write faster. I think I'm probably still averaging around 1,000 words a day. Um, Usually a bit more on the weekends, depending on how much time I have. And yeah, this show that I'm working on is for the market as well. I have hopes of finishing it um, before Sunday. So I have sort of nice and colourful things to put around the gazebo. I have done some dyeing, so I have some nice colourful wool to work on while I'm at the market on Sunday. And the nice thing is it's very local, so it's definitely just it's like 5 minutes away from me. So yeah, I'm sort of gathering the last of the stuff. I think I need to take something out of the car to put the gazebo in. Um, at the moment, there are just too many books in the cars. I've had a quick look at like when the um, the first hardback of Everything the Sun Touches is supposed to dispatch from the printers. So I'm basically doing like a proof copy again, just to see how the hardback looks. Um, and it's still going to be about sort of 10 days. So that's coming in a bit later than I expected, but that's fine. I'm not, this is why I'm doing everything quite early, so I can still tweak stuff if it needs to be tweaked. Um, yeah, apart from that, it's grey again, but it's sort of, at least it doesn't rain. So I hope I have like not driving rain this weekend. I would love to pack in everything when it's dry, not when it's sopping wet. But hey ho, let's see. Especially as it's the last time this year that I'll need the gazebo. Um, and yeah. So all in all, it's not terribly exciting today. I think it's sort of yeah, getting I think the getting to know the characters bit is a really interesting phase though. But it's I can't really talk to it at the moment because I'm still at the very beginning of it. With the Dragon Watch book, I had at least some characters that I was building um like on. Yeah, that's the word. Where part of the cast was already there. So that is usually a lot easier for me. Also, the setting was already there, and the situation was already there. With the Sealskin Throne, everything's really new, and it's a new area that I haven't set a story in yet. So yeah, it's sort of heathery, islandy, kelpy, um, cold water, windy. They eat lots of mutton. Sort of pork and mutton are the main animal proteins. Yeah, you're just figuring out this kind of stuff. It makes a setting distinct. But I tend to have sort of a vibe in mind, and then I add, oh, I need a plant that's used in, I know, stilling blood flow or something. So then I'll make that up. Um, so yeah, I definitely need to do like a glossary story Bible thing at some point where I just collect all the plant names that I've made up. Um, and then again, I sort of figured out how to name the families that this is set among in like all the stories that are set on the land of the families, which sort of like a big landmass. They all have animal names as like their surnames, and you get not not just animals, but they also especially like there are moons, there are clouds, there um then you get like owls, squirrels, mice, bears, ravens, and for the Siskin's throne I've landed on stoats and shrews, especially as those are sort of stoats eat like most like animals, so that works quite well. Like, there's sort of like a hint of what is happening. I mean, I don't. not much at the moment. Even though this is more of a plot idea, I know like the overarching thing, but all the details, like no idea. And this is where I'm still discovering stuff. So I think at the moment, this project is for me is a mix between outlining and discovery, which is again really interesting because it's not something that I do that often. I keep you up to date on the process. Hopefully, I'll be able to write at least like half a chapter again tomorrow. I'm at the lake. I'm debating if I should buy my swimming gloves tomorrow or wait a couple of weeks if I can sort of stand the cold. Yeah, let's see. And then hopefully, there's going to be a lot happening at the market. The last one of those was unfortunately cancelled because of the weather. It was really wet and stormy on that weekend. So basically, this market has taken over as the Heritage Festival that the cancelled one was supposed to be. And there might be lots of people. And that usually makes the time fly really fast. I think that it's from sort of 10:30 to 3 o'clock. So it's sort of the basically the whole Sunday. I might pick up some nice things that I'm running a bit low on bread, so maybe I get some nice bread at the market or some other stuff. If I do, I'll show you later. See you in a bit. It's Sunday afternoon. I had a really good market today. It almost made up basically for an engagement for the market that was cancelled. This was the local heritage festival that was moved from September to October because of a storm and sort of so much rain. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's such a lovely event as well because it's right round the corner. It takes me 2 minutes to get home, and then I very heroically unloaded the car, basically everything that I know I'm not going to need in like for the rest of the season or for the foreseeable, maybe until December, I've put out of the car. It's where I live. It's very difficult to have access with like heavy stuff. So I thought I'm already sweaty and borderline exhausted. Let's just get it over with so I don't have to so this is not hanging over me, which is nice. I could sort of the rest that is now in the car are mostly boxes for BristolCon, which is in a couple of weeks, and then also the World Fantasy Con in Brighton, where I will not have a stand but just have my books on a collective table, and then I have two more events in one in November and one in December, and that should be it for the year. But today was lovely. I sold a scarf, which is a big item, and then someone commissioned me. Basically, she picked three of the skeins that I had on the stand and said, "Please make me a scarf." She and this is how I want it to look. And so basically, I have this to finish in the next week or so. I mean, there's no time limit on it, but it basically she paid for the wool, and then once I've knitted up the scarf, we will meet up because she's also local, and she will just pay me the difference. Um, in what I would take for the scarf. I think I've started to um, because usually I don't price the scarves much higher than if I just sold the yarn. But I've started to increase that a bit because I mean it's basically a week of non-stop knitting, not quite, but and this is a smaller one, so it's. But that was really lovely because that meant like so much like big item stuff basically, and then like lots of, I think 4 separate skeins um, were sold, and that definitely adds up as well. And yeah, lots of lovely conversations and just catching up with people as well, meeting new people at the market. Actually, there was someone there, like a florist person, and I really loved their style because I'm a bit picky when it comes to flowers. And because I was doing quite well at the market, I had to treat myself to some lovely flowers. So, yeah, that's a but I didn't buy anything else. So, definitely, I just think like there's some beech leaves in there and some sweet williams, some chrysanthemums, and some ornamental grasses, and then something she said it's not feverfew, but it looks very similar. So she said it's very close to that. I've forgotten the name already. So yeah, so I just thought this is a lovely small autumn bouquet, and I yeah, what better to treat myself with some lovely flowers. And I also took her card because she's not too far away, and I think she also does lovely things with dried flowers, and just to get some inspiration, and just maybe if I really want to splurge out, if I don't know, one of the next big birthdays coming up, maybe I just treat myself to a massive bouquet or something. So you can see I'm quite happy how today went, so I think this is an excellent point to stop the vlog with flowers and just a massive weight off my shoulders as well, because the gazebo's in for the season. It has come in dry. It did not rain today, which was amazing. You will see in the footage that there are actually sheep at the market today, and I got those contact details as well, so I can, once next year they are shared, I can go and maybe check out the fleeces if I want to have something of their fleeces. I would probably not sell those items I make from those because you never really get all the bits out, so unless you're really really like kneeling down and yeah. So but maybe I can do something lovely for myself that had like very sweet sheep. I was quite yeah, I spent quite a bit of time over there just yeah, socializing with the sheep. And if you'd like my style of realistic, bit unkempt vlogging, I would be delighted if you subscribe and drop a like. And yeah, if you sign up to my newsletter, I'll send you the first volume of my fantasy opus Slow Moon as a free EPUB sign up gift. Have a lovely day, and I see you soon. Thank you so much for watching.